Welcome to episode 94 of the Inside Bite. I'm your host, Tim Schaefer. I'm here with my co-host, Rudy. How you doing this week?
Hey Tim, great, doing good. I went on a nice long hike today and I'm just like wiped. So I cannot do anything besides just talking to a microphone.
Well, I'm not wiped, but I am hyped.
Okay, that works too.
Before we get into what I'm hyped over,
Okay.
Bring your topic to the table. What are we talking about today?
So I thought a good topic could be to talk about any hobbies we have that are not video game related, because obviously that's the primary thing we talk about. So, I figured could see some other things that we might be into, things you like to do on your downtime. So,
okay. You were just saying you were going hiking. I actually do that a lot. Like I'll pick whatever trail on this All Trails app and go with a group of friends and pick a random spot and hike it. It could be 3 miles, it could be 10 miles. I don't know. Just whatever looks interesting and us just kind of picking apart and just going the majority of the day, I'd say. It's fun.
Yeah, it is fun. I do like it. It's not something that I do a lot on my own. Like I'm not usually the one who initiates it, but my brother is huge into this stuff. And anytime he invites me, I'll usually try to, go along with him. It's funny because my brother, not only is he a hiker, but he, like for his job and for what he wants to do, he's getting his master's right now.
Master's in what?
So it's, I forgot the actual term, but it's the study of fungi and mushrooms. Like that's his thing, right?
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Just
now
cannot,
that you say
cannot
that,
remember. Now it's gonna bother. Hold on, I need to know what the term is.
But of all things, I mean, me personally, I think that's like the coolest he could be studying.
Oh, it's mycology. That's what it is. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. And so along with his knowledge of all the mushrooms and all that stuff, he's developed like this really, really vast knowledge of just anything that's out there, trees, insects, whatever. It's actually really cool. So every time I go with him, today, for example, was like, I think it was 5 miles for the whole hike, but we walked well over 5 miles just because he's like, oh, guys, come over here. Yeah. This right here is yada, 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 Okay. So it's interesting. And I brought it was myself, my dad, my brother, and my son. And my son, I give him credit. He's like, this kid's 4 years old, and he walked with us the whole way. Didn't really complain,
but that's a cool little like generational thing, right?
Yeah, like I love that part.
The son, the father, the brother. That's pretty cool.
Thought that was cool. It was fun. Again, it's not my thing per se, but it's starting to become more of a thing I do regularly. Because
you should do it more. I love it. I think it's great. So
I think it's a lot of fun. And when I got home, I was like, I felt so exhausted, but I felt good. I was like, okay, I did my physical activity for today, and then it's cool to do whatever else. So so I guess we share that one in common.
Yeah.
How about you? Is there another one that comes to mind?
I mean, there's a lot of things like I like video editing, audio editing, and like general. So I'll mess with that a lot. Well, then leads into the camera itself, just taking photos, taking videos of different stuff out there. I really love like messing with my camera. Like it's a big pastime of mine. I enjoy, I'm big into skating, like I've said in a previous episode. I used to skateboard a lot, and it's led into longboarding. And we'll go to a college nearby and just longboard all throughout the big campus, and it's really fun. So
that's a good
one. I love just going downtown, getting some drinks, socializing downtown. It's always good. Having friends and just company in general over to like a house, doing a bonfire, cooking some food, having gatherings like that's always good. So I don't know, just kind of throwing out different ones there that I do them.
Sure. So kind of in line with what you were saying, obviously some of those I share as well, like specifically the friends getting together and kind of just, you could be doing nothing, just chilling, taking a walk, whatever. That's I'm always down for that. But more specifically, I like to invite people over and like play, card games, board games, stuff like that. Just kind of pass the time playing. We really love Taboo. That's like a big one we play a lot.
I don't know Taboo. What's Taboo?
Okay, so Taboo is like this. Let's say there's 8 of us, right? And you split it up into two teams of 4, and you sit. Every other person is your teammate, right? So let's say me and you are opposite teams. Me, you, then my wife, then your wife, right? It's like every person next to you is not your teammate, basically.
Okay.
Anyway, and the point of the game is the person whose turn it is, they grab a card. On the card, you have some sort of term, name, whatever, a noun usually, and you have to get your teammates to say said noun without using any of the 4 words. That's why they call it taboo. Like you can't say these 4 words, right?
Okay.
So the word might be let's just say rhythm, right?
Okay.
And then you're not allowed to say music or whatever, any word that would make it really easy to know what you're talking about, right? You can't say it. And it gets really fun because you just start coming up with these kind of wacky ways to get them to say what you want them to say. It's really fun, actually. And the person next to you has like this little squeaker and they watch you closely. They watch your card. So I'm like, it's the rhythm. And then I said rhythm by mistake, so they squeak you. Boom, you lose a point. But if you can get them to say it, you get a point, and you grab a new card, and you keep going. It's a great game to play with.
How much time do you have? Do you have a time limit?
You have a little hourglass, but I want to say it's a minute, probably a minute of time.
Okay.
And it's really, really fun. And then once you,
I would totally play that. That sounds good to me.
It's great. Yeah. Once you throw a few drinks in there, obviously it becomes like really funny. So yeah, we love doing that. Uno, obviously, that's a big one we play here a lot too. I'd say aside from that, the only other one I haven't mentioned really is I like exercising. Like I like going. I always try my best to get to the gym during the week if I can. I enjoy learning new things about how to work these muscles, and these exercises are good for this, and all that kind of stuff really does interest me, even though there's days where I really don't feel like doing it, but I do find it interesting. And when I do go, I really feel great, so that stuff is something I really like to do a lot too. I just wish I could do it more, but it's so hard to do it these days.
Yeah, when I was a teenager, I was very active, and I do need to be more active in my adult life for sure. Even hiking aside, or just walking around talking to all that. I mean, it's better than just me sitting on my butt watching TV all day.
Of course.
I still want to take it further and actually, I've been taking big steps and not eating this or that and getting my diet better, but I need to be actually running, exercising, whatever. I do need to. I'm always having that in the back of my head of wanting to improve that part and have remember to do so, then try to fit something in real quick. But for sure, I want to get better at exercising. That's
dude.
For sure,
honestly, the way I find that is the best way to kind of get into it and make it a regular thing is get someone to kind of hold you to it, So I have this group chat with my friends, and we've been lately hey, you do something today, you run today, you work out today, whatever, it's little things like that. Or I mean, I can even do it to you if you want. Hey Tim, you do something today. But
hey, maybe I'll message you and be like, hey, actually start getting on my case if I'm not doing X, Y, and Z.
Dude, and again, it doesn't have to be the way I think of it is like this, right? Some days if I really have time, I'll go to the gym for an hour and I'll do everything I want to do, right?
Yeah.
But other days I'm it's so busy, it's so crazy. So at home, I'll just while I'm watching TV, I'll try to do a few sets of some push-ups or something simple at home. And already that still is probably 50% more than most people are doing, who are so busy like us. So any little thing helps, But again, it sounds like you definitely are active. It's just you're not doing a specific,
I'm not really specifically exercising, right? And that's what I really do want to start doing.
Yeah, man. It's there's a lot of, I guess they call them challenges and stuff like that, where people are like, oh, do 100 push-ups a day or whatever. And it doesn't matter. You don't have to sit there and do 100 push-ups in a row, but you can do 10 now. Then an hour later, you do 10 more. It's stuff like that will kind of help you. It makes it kind of a fun thing, to do along with someone else. Or
my only cheat to me exercising is the fact that I love skating. And so anytime I go out there and skate for a few hours, I'm sweating, I'm exhausted, and that is my exercise. But unless I did that daily, I wouldn't want to count it as such. But
I get it.
Or even 3 times a week. What I'm really doing is maybe once every 2 weeks, I'm actually going out there on my board. So if I made that more of a hobby, maybe that could sort of be, because I just want that extra thing. I always, it's weird, over anything else, I'm just fighting boredom. So if I could find a way to just, hey, maybe I should just skate more, and maybe that alone would be all I need.
I mean, I think that's totally reasonable. There's people who, okay, I understand my daughter is very young at this point, but I know some of the girls that she dances with who are older, and the amount of time they spend dancing and doing all that stuff, it's they just stay fit, it's like so much physical activity. You know, to bring it back to the video game side of things, if that's why I kind of would like to get more into the VR stuff, if I can find a good reason to at some point, because when I was like doing like Beat Saber and stuff like that, that was cool. It was fun. I was sweating. I was like working up a sweat, you know? So if I can find at some point some reason to buy, you know, whatever VR headset, and I get into stuff like that, that could be a cool thing at
Well,
home, you
listen,
know, for days.
I'm super serious here. So,
Yeah.
when I was in VR doing Beat Saber, and I was doing this for about 3 months.
Sure.
I had this app. It's called YUR. You can download it, iPhone, Android, and it connects to whatever VR thing you're doing, right? So Steam has a YUR app on it, right? So it integrates into your Steam, and anytime you do any VR, it's counting your movements, counting your calorie loss, counting your exercise work, all of that.
That's
so
awesome.
whenever I was doing this, I'm gonna see if I can find it here and show you. But I was getting tons of exercise because I was using the app and seeing my monthly progress. And I was making big strides, and it was making me want to play Beat Saber, even if I necessarily didn't want to, because I was like, well, I at least need to do like 30 minutes. But then it always bled into like an hour and a half because I was having so much fun with it. And then so I set up my own little area, put down a mat, and was just going in all these different songs that I downloaded to Beat Saber and working out. And I was getting tons of calorie loss. And I remember in that 3-month stretch, I think I lost 15 pounds. So like, if not 20, it was definitely working. And I was definitely sweating a bunch. And it was really, really fun. And I totally forgot that I did that. It was sometime last year. I totally forgot. And I think I'm going to start that back up. And that could be a reason for you to get VR. Now, here's the problem. That doesn't mean PSVR, because 1, they don't even have Beat Saber on that thing. 2, you definitely want Steam integration and workout apps and all of that. So what you could do is the whole Quest route, right? And just buy like a wired cable that connects to the Quest to your PC if you want better visuals. Either way, it will work in your benefit, especially if trying to work out, because you can disconnect from your cable and set up and work in your own little isolated area outside of being directly next to your computer. If you can find a better space in your house somewhere else, wherever the case is, you don't have to be tethered to a cable while working out. That always causes a big problem. The very moment that cable's gone, even just the weight of that cable alone being out from pulling the back of your head as you're playing really helps. And the Quest is a great workout utensil. So that really could be a thing you could go down.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that, because like I said, there are days where, you know, I get home from work, I got to bring the kids to this, that, you know, by the time I'm done with all that, it's, you know, 7:30 p.m. You know, if I could squeeze in a quick, you know, Beat Saber session or whatever game, Creed or whatever those other ones that people play.
Yeah.
I mean,
regardless of what you play, it will work up your activity into a chart. So it's really neat. Cool. Yeah.
I like that. When I have more space, you know, when I move into a new place eventually or whatever, I'd like to keep this computer that I currently have and make this like a VR computer, you know, like use it just exclusively for VR stuff, put it out in the living room or something, and then, you know, get myself a new computer, nice top of the line, and that could be my normal everyday use computer, you know? So yeah, that's the plan. But yeah, it's not, I'm like trying to think. I'm like, man, I'm boring. I'm trying to think of anything else, but really, those are like the main things. Like, dude, obviously, I love TV and movies. I mean, I guess that's close to video games, but it's different. I'm like annoying to watch a movie with, because I can't just watch a movie and just move on. Like, I have to talk about it, and I gotta analyze it, and then I gotta look up what other people say. You know, that's kind of
I mean, I love doing that myself too. So,
especially,
which is why we do this, I guess, right?
Right. Yeah. I should say, especially TV shows, though. Like TV shows, I can't watch one episode without, you know, it's like, think of it this way. You know, you and your wife are watching TV. You finish the episode. Oh my God, that was so good. Let's watch another one. My wife says right away. I'm like, hold on. I need 5 minutes. I got to go on Reddit. I got to see the discussion for season 1, episode 1. I want to see what everyone said. I want to see if I missed anything, you know? So that's how I've always.
Yeah, I have memories of doing that with some shows, and then other shows just not. So I don't know why.
There's some that I don't,
but I can definitely, I've definitely done that on, let's say, Last of Us. I was doing that on Last of Us.
Right. If there's a show that I'm really enjoying, I'll probably do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love doing that. Other than that, man.
Drinking and like, I love beer talk. I mean, I'm really about that. That's cool.
Sure.
Yeah.
Jesse's head just popped up in the corner. What'd you guys say? I like, okay, this is not very specific, but just in general, I like tinkering with things, whether that be physical things with your hands or something digitally. And let me explain what I mean. Like, okay, for example, my wife the other day was doing like this competition at work. It's like a walking thing. How many steps can you get? You know, all the stats, whatever. And she has a Samsung phone. She has Samsung Health.
Yeah.
And the app that they were using is something called like Count It or something like that. And it wasn't translating over. Like her watch was not translating over to the thing. So I had to sit there for like 45 minutes and like find a workaround. You download this app and you switch this setting, whatever. Yeah. Like that kind of stuff I really like doing. I think it's fun to figure things out, you know? And it doesn't have to be just with the phone. At school, someone says, I can't get my computer to do this thing. I want to teach this lesson and use this. So I'll sit down for a while. Then I'll come back. They're like, how did you figure that out? I'm like, I just started Googling stuff and YouTubing stuff. And here we are an hour later, you know? So that kind of stuff really interests me. I find it really fun and interesting. And I know you're the same way, obviously. So
yeah. I mean, I could super lean into what you were just saying. Like, I get real stubborn and get really just like, especially if I can't figure something out. Something pops up and it's like I'm searching for like 5 minutes, end up realizing it's a way deeper rabbit hole. And I go down it, I'm like 4 hours later, everything apart, like, oh my God, what is happening? And I just, I get obsessed over trying to resolve this, you know, issue.
I'm the same exact way. Like the most recent example is I have a few lights in my apartment that are, I control with Alexa, like the Philips Hue lights, which is like really cool.
I have one in my other room here next to me.
I have one in my bedroom. There's a few out in the living room, and then there's two. There used to be, I should say the living room used to have a lamp that had two of them in it. And we got a new lamp, and it only could hold one. So I was like thinking, this problem that I've had with the kids where at night, like every night, my daughter, can I have the color this night? And my son the next night, can I have the color this night? And they're always fighting, right? So I was like, hold on. What if I get this second bulb, get another lamp, put it on there? So I popped it in there, but of course it's not that simple. I have to go back to Alexa. I have to reprogram everything. You have to like even changing the names to a specific thing. Tim's light, Rudy's light. And then when you say it out loud to Alexa, then now we'll recognize it. But it won't right away. You have to restart. You know, it's like a whole thing. But I finally got it working. It's like, it felt so good. I was supposed to play video games too during that break. I like dropped my daughter off at dance. And like 4 hours later, I had to pick her up. And she's like, oh, did you play your game? I'm like, no, I just did this light bulb stuff for you guys the whole time. So any sort of tinkering, whether it be physically or, you know, digitally or however you want to describe it. I like stuff like that too. So
yes.
I think that's all I can think of at the moment though. But yeah, I'm glad I got to hear a few more extra hobbies from you. It sounds like we share some, but
of course. I'd be really stupid to say music. I am very, very, it is my most important favorite thing in my life. Going to as many shows, making it myself, of just trying to come up with different beats, just anything and everything related. I mean, I'll just sit down 30 minutes, not have anything else visually playing, and just will listen to music. And
that's great.
You know, I just really way too much about it. I mean, as far as I can go back, I'm thinking 9 years old, having this like cassette player. It was like a 90s Star Wars like R2D2 shaped cassette player thing, and then basically I would record songs off the radio on it, and then just make like a mixtape, and then just like play the whole mixtape back, you know, in my room at night, being like 9 or 10, just listening to it, playing whatever with toys while I'm listening to it. And then I just kind of bled that into, you know, burning CDs and like the Napster days and all of that. But I just always been obsessed. I remember using Spotify when it was only just a web browser thing on PC. Being really, really into just making different playlists and adding a ton of music on there. And I've always been obsessed over just obtaining new music, finding new artists, and listening to it a bunch, and just partaking in music in any way I can.
Sure.
Shows being one of the funnest things to partake when it comes to music.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I think that's so cool. I love music. I'm not going to sit here and try to act like I listen to as much music as you do, but I do really enjoy it. It's not like it's not like I can't go one day without listening to music. I'm not like that, but I do listen to it quite a bit and always enjoy it. I mean, I can't understand someone who doesn't like music at all. That would kind of blow my mind if I ever saw that, but I know people like that are out
Well,
there.
there are some people. I was listening to what was it? The Office podcast. It's like Angela and Pam from The Office. They just
Right.
do their own show talking about it or whatever. And I remember Pam, she was going on of how like music's not really a thing with her. So like whenever she would go on road trips,
That's so weird.
she tried really hard to make like a mix CD or whatever like that because she would have to drive long distances, I think, to record the show in the beginning before she moved or something like that. I don't know. But she was mentioning something about how she basically will just hear whatever's on the radio and, you know, she'll dance or whatever gathering or something like that. But it's nothing she would ever just consume on her own time at the house or anything like that. It would have to be some sort of event for music.
Gotcha.
And it just kind of like, whoa, it kind of shocked me because I didn't know
people like that
I'm so consumed by it. I never thought of it in a way of like, what, once a week maybe hearing a song is very weird for me. But yeah, I went to a show like, well, I guess it's hard to remember, a few days ago.
I saw you
but
post about it. Yeah.
It was Silverstein, and the band opening for them was two different ones, but one of them was Dayseeker. They've blown up a lot over the last 2 or 3 years, so people listening may know who they are. I think over Silverstein. Silverstein is some band I've been listening to since like 2003, I want to say. But it was incredible. Honestly, one of the better shows that I've ever went to, which is awesome because it's been a while since I've even been to a show. So be one of the better ones. It was a great time. What's really cool is like towards the end of the night, they did the whole like, oh, we're leaving, but clearly they're gonna come back.
Of course.
And, everyone's chanting them to come back. They come back and they're like, all right, guys. Since the pit has been so great tonight, and I have yet to even like, oh well, right before they came back, the whole night I was standing right next to the stage over to the right. I was like, I could probably like high five one of them, right? I'm just kind of right there at the front. But it's one of those venues to where like everyone gets general admission, you just kind of go wherever you want. Whenever they were coming back, I was like, oh man, I haven't been in the pit all night and I kind of want to do it just a bit. So I go and move into it. They come back out and they're like, since the pit has been so great tonight, we're going to play our hardest song we ever recorded right now. And I just want this whole place for the next 4 minutes to just go insane kind of deal. And then, so they start, and I'm telling you, like, one of the coolest pits I've seen in a long time, because even though it was really crazy, everyone was super, super respectful, the very moment anyone fell, they're helping them back up. If there's, like, a female in the mix, they're making sure to kind of, like, lightly hit them instead of hitting them harder. I was just seeing all the little things to where it's like, dang, people are being really, really nice in this pit, but it's still somehow one of the crazier ones that I've ever been in terms of the aggressiveness. So it was a really nice, cool balance there. And anyway, and they were just playing the hardest thing they've ever recorded, like I said. And it was just I don't know. The lights were going so crazy to where I could see if somebody had slight issues with that, they would easily be Caesaring out at that point. But it was dope. So anyway,
that's awesome, man.
But
Very cool.
I've been, I don't know, like, let's say I've been to maybe 50 individual shows, and within that may have seen like 120 groups as a whole. So it's a big part of me just constantly trying to find an excuse to go somewhere for a show. So I want to say that we're talking about hobbies, that's a big part of it.
Yeah, I've again, I really love music a lot too, even if it's not something that I'm like doing every day 24/7. But any opportunity I get, someone invites me to a show, or what I like about the bands that I like to see in person is I think of a lot of friends of mine who they have these artists that they really love that are really huge artists, and the only time they ever get to see them, they're sitting in some big stadium and they're like 50 rows up, right?
Yeah.
I think it's so cool that a lot of the few artists that I really, really have liked a lot and go to see, you can get right up close to them. I mean, when I went to see the last time I saw Hoobastank, it was awesome. I was like 5 feet away from that. I could reach out and touch the guy's freaking arm or something. You know, I think that's so cool.
There really is. I mean, on paper, sure, you could be like, yeah, that sounds cool. But like when you're actually very next to the band in person, it's so much better.
It's awesome. Yeah.
Than just sitting in the top balcony.
Right. Right. It's so cool. Like they're looking at you singing all the words, they're singing them too. Like I love that. Now I'm not saying, you know, because I have one or two artists I like that are big time. Like I love like Dua Lipa. I want to go see one of her
shows.
Look,
I would go if I just had to, right? Like, okay, I'm going to a big gigantic artist and I have to sit in the balcony. Well, it's better than not going at all. That's still cool. I'm still gonna do it. But yes, if I can get right up on it, it's a great experience.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think there's many things where you can say this person's not into this thing, and you can be like, okay, that's their opinion. But I have trouble understanding someone who doesn't like music at all. Like, I don't mean you don't listen to music all the time. I mean, never, ever, ever do you like to listen to music. There's no songs that you like. There's no artist that you like. There's no song that you know the words to. That blows my mind, honestly. So I the same way I feel about video games is kind of like that, where I think there's definitely music out there that someone would like. You just got to find the right music. That's all. Everyone has music that they'll like. Come on, there's no way that you wouldn't like something, you know? So.
Yeah, it is like somebody just like disregarding video games, and it's like, come on, I guarantee you I could find you something you would like. Yeah.
Well, the last thing I'll say before we move on is this is kind of a random, you know, like colliding of two worlds that happened to me recently. So my dad has always been very much into like classical music. He loves music from a lot of other countries. It's like whatever, but classical music is the biggest one, right?
Yeah.
So
I dig it.
Yeah, I love classical. I think it's really nice. I don't like go out of my way to listen to it, but it's right here. I think it's great. And then I never made this connection. My dad's like, and my dad doesn't know anything about video games, by the way. My dad's like, hey, do you know a game named Final Fantasy? I'm like, do I? Of course.
They make talk about classical music. They make some of the greatest. Yeah.
And he's like one time recently I saw you play a game and you left the TV on, and I heard the song. I think I was playing Final Fantasy 15, I want to say. I think it was the menu music. Anyway, he's like, you left the game on, and I went and looked at it and it said Final Fantasy, and I forgot to ask you about it, but I love the song. He's like, I thought it was so beautiful and everything. I was like, oh man, you have no idea. There's so much out there. So then I started showing him.
Tell him that Nabu Umamatsu?
Umamatsu, whatever his name is. I know exactly what you're talking about.
If you just gave him that artist and had him run with it, I guarantee you he would love it. There's no way. I mean, he's one of the best in the industry. That's what you need. You need to give him the name and have him follow him and dig into his work, because he would love it.
I showed him the song from Final Fantasy VIII when you first turned the game on, like the first cutscene. You remember that?
Yeah.
I showed him that. He was like, "Oh, this is great. I love this." Whatever. So I'm like, so I'm gonna have to give him his name. But I thought that was cool. I was like, man, see, you can make all these connections anywhere. So.
All right.
Well, yeah,
let's
man.
All
right.
Into
get to some video game stuff.
The news here. There's a lot happened this week, but over anything else, story number one. First, before I say what it is,
sure.
Before this week happened, I was like, man, I don't know. Like, I'm pretty equally excited about Zelda and Final Fantasy XVI. They both look incredible or whatever.
Right.
I don't know if I would be able to decide. Now I'm like, Zelda by a landslide, but maybe it's just because like it's about to come out and I know that, and I know I'm about to get my hands on it. But man, that trailer of 3 minutes did far more for me than that 30 minutes of Final Fantasy we got to see, is basically. And I don't know if you even watched that.
I did.
This trailer is like, whoo! Final Fantasy, they're throwing everything, and they're throwing way too much. I'm like, I don't know if I want to see that. It super great. I loved it. We'll get to it.
So
but this 3-minute trailer is on some whole other level of like, man, I didn't realize I was this much more into Zelda. I really think I am, because this trailer got me hard.
They know how to do launch trailers specifically, because I remember the launch trailer for Breath of the Wild was so epic, and I watched it so many times because it was just incredible. It got me so pumped. The music, and this one too, man. Oh my god! It started off like pretty like tame. I was like, oh, this is cool. I like this, and then it just starts ramping up, and it just gets so cool, man. Just loved it.
Yes.
It's a great trailer. I even said, like, even if you're not into Zelda, you got to appreciate this trailer. Like, come on. There's no way you can't. So
I've sort of put this whole breakdown here and going into different segments all over the whole trailer. It gets into a bunch of theories. It gets into a bunch of confirmed things as well. A whole lot to talk about. I did not realize, even when I watched it a few times, I was like, man, this trailer's amazing. But when I started to dig, and find all of these different theories and what it matches with Zelda lore and all of that. Way bigger than I ever imagined. So I'm super, super hyped to get into this. And I remember being super excited when Breath of the Wild was coming out. And I'm trying to think of a moment where I wasn't, right? It was probably the DS games were the last time I was kind of like, yeah, I'll play it, but I'm not like super stoked. But I don't know. It's still been a long time though. Like Breath of the Wild was still 2017. It's
so crazy.
It's been like many years technically
That's crazy.
since I've been this excited for a video game. Right? I'm so just like, wow, I cannot believe how just stoked I am. Anyway, so there's a lot to talk about the trailer, but before I even start digging into it, just I mean, in general, let's just say we're being critic. This clearly just 10 out of 10, right? Masterpiece of a trailer.
Yeah,
right?
100%. The trailer, I don't know how the game's going to be, although I have a suspicion it's going to be very good, obviously. The trailer, that's how you do a trailer, you know? That's how you get people excited. I saw so many posts of, I wasn't going to get to do Zelda, but after that trailer.
hey, yeah. No longer am I seeing, $70 DLC.
Oh
no way
God,
you're saying that after seeing this trailer.
I still can't believe there's people like that out there. But yeah, I
think this shut it down.
Yeah, agreed. It looks fantastic, man.
So I'm sort of jumping into segments, and I'm gonna kind of be jumping over it technically in terms of if you were just watching the trailer, it wouldn't make sense in the order I'm going here. But let's just focus on one thing at a time. I just noticed there's a lot of companionship going on, right? There's a scene where he's standing amongst like villagers and Goron people, and they're all with weapons, ready to go to battle. There's another bit where he's just straight up fighting alongside of Sword dude, the prince. I forget it. I can't remember his name. But you're fighting right alongside him, and it looks almost like the way the camera's working. It's not just, they happen to be fighting and you can kind of fight with them. Like, they're clearly, the AI is reacting to you. And it's almost like a little co-op thingy with the AI fighting with you with monsters. So I was like, there's a bit more going on here. And then it shows another bit where the prince running with a girl from the desert land, right? And then there's a final one where he's sort of hanging out with the main bird guy, his son. His name is like Tulin, and he's sort of diving and hanging out with him. And then there's another bit to where like the villagers are actually attacking goblins and other various enemies at like a gate to a village. There's another bit where you're escorting a bunch of villagers in a cart, almost like a bit in Twilight Princess, but I don't know if you remember that.
I do remember that.
There's a lot of like interactions with players and them fighting with you, and we never got any of that Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild was a very isolated experience. So now we know this because of the trailer, and that excites me to just sort of fight along buddies and random villagers and stuff. So it's cool.
Yeah, I hope they do something cool with that, because it's been a long time, but thinking back on Breath of the Wild, I don't feel like we really had that much like companionship.
No, we didn't have it. We didn't really have any of it. The only time we did is with the specific champions, right? They never were actually interacting with you. This is the first time I've seen straight like combat interactions with other people. So below this, I just put these two screenshots that I just thought were super cool just in the trailer. Don't really connect to anything more. But the part where he's riding on the rock and has this like almost, I don't know, it's like a minigun, but it shoots arrows out of this other structure of like them riding this big rock, and goblins are on top and they're shooting them with arrows, and it's almost like a fortress fighting a fortress, but it's like vehicle versus vehicle. I just think that's like super cool to happen in a Zelda game. And then I have this screenshot here. You can somehow fuse a rocket to your arm and just blast up in the sky, and he goes pretty high. And I'm just like, you know how hilarious, how fun this game is going to be to play? Of just,
this game, man.
Just blasting off in a rocket onto the top of a mountain. You know how insane that is?
This game is going to be something else, man. I already see the day the reviews come out. We already know what to expect, obviously, and it's just going to just blow people away. And then when the game actually drops, man, I can't wait. It's going to be amazing, man.
All right, so Link begins his journey on one of the many mysterious floating islands that have suddenly appeared in the skies above Hyrule. It's there our hero will have to gain new abilities before returning to the surface world to begin his epic adventure. And that's pulled from the official website. So they're confirming you're starting in the sky. They're confirming you're going to need to gain abilities before you even go down to the surface. So this is very much like the beginning of Breath of the Wild, to where you're on that plateau gaining your abilities before you go off the plateau onto the rest of the world.
Yep. Okay.
Right. So similar structure there. Game's looking to take place 7 years after Breath of the Wild. It's definitely a few years after Breath of the Wild. We just don't know exact long time frame it is. We're gonna get into it later, but there's I think some time traveling going on. Okay. Anyway,
wouldn't be the first time Zelda does that.
yeah. Before that, though, they also confirmed on the website dank caves, like basically wet, dark caves. But when I see dank, I'm just like, nice dank. Dank caves, mysterious, gaping chasms springing up across the world, all waiting to be explored. So, like I was saying previously in that little gameplay thing, we saw a few caves. Well, they're confirming. Yes, there is caves all over the whole world to explore, and that is a sort of driving force with this game, is going up in caves and going out of caves. And there's just sort of scattered all throughout the land, right? And then we have some screenshots here if you scroll down of him just exploring different caves. Now, here's where it gets into like, when you're seeing the cave gameplay, you're like, well, is this a dungeon or is this just a cave? But these caves go way deeper than I was expecting. This looks like when you're playing Elden Ring and you're in the underworld and the ceiling is, what, a mile high? You know what I mean? Like, this isn't some little shallow cave here.
Look at this one with the laser beams.
Yes.
That to me looks like some sort of beginning of some dungeon or something. God, I hope it is. That'd be really cool.
No, I'm gonna get to that. But so there's clearly like caves, almost as if like, what, maybe this is the shrine replacement, right? Maybe instead of shrines, you just have a cave. You go through the whole cave, that's your shrine, right? Because we still don't really, it's the whole thing with dungeons. So what I have next here is different bosses. We actually got 2, potentially 3 bosses shown. The third one, I'm a little iffy if that's an actual boss. That could just be like a mini boss kind of thing. But the first one for sure a boss. He comes from the original Legend of Zelda, the 3-headed dragon, right? We haven't had him in any other Zelda game. That alone is super exciting to see.
That is cool.
And forget everything else. Just the fact that you fighting a boss, a classic Zelda boss. Breath of the Wild didn't have this. Think about it. We were fighting phantoms of stuff. They all sort of had a similar style to them. None of them were unique here. In this trailer, we got the 3-headed dragon. We got a big ice monster thing just kind of pop out of the ground that you got to fight. And then this third one here is like this dude that's like big purple mouth sort of chomping with like an ink style, almost looking like Splatoon or something up on some rooftop or whatever. Right? But we're seeing straight up completely unique, different boss style designs here, just like any other Zelda game in the past. Breath of the Wild was the only one where we did not have this. So even if we don't have dungeons, we have confirmed actual Zelda bosses this time around. That's super exciting.
Yeah, I can't wait. That's one of the few things that I wanted more of in Breath of the Wild. So.
And these are big to scale. You're talking, imagine like God of War 3 days, to where like you're climbing on their
scaling
feet,
a hole,
and you're like as big as what, their toenail maybe. Like
that was so crazy.
I mean, Link comparison to the 3-headed dragon or that ice thing, it's very tiny compared to them. If you look at that second screenshot here with the ice dragon, you see him, he's like maybe the size of his tooth. I mean, and you're fighting these things. I mean, like, it is going to be insane.
I think it's fair to say that there's going to be more enemy variety in this game as opposed to Breath of the Wild, which is cool. It seems, I know everyone has their opinions, but it seems like they're really taking a lot of the feedback and trying to implement some cool changes. But they're not doing the thing which I hate when developers do, which is let's completely give up on our own vision just because people complained. No, they're trying to do some compromises,
Yeah.
For example, the fusion and the teleporting to the top of the cave and stuff like that. So
yeah, they're still playing within that Breath of the Wild exploration, fun, creativity, sort of physics of the world. And they're
Yeah,
definitely leaning hard into that while still throwing like Zelda bosses at us. Super cool. All right, scroll down
Very
here a little
exciting.
more here. See this next thing? Now, when this first popped up, I had my theory and I messaged you, right? And I was like,
Oh
hey,
yeah.
I think this is a dungeon popping out of the ground. I no
Yes.
longer think this. After further research, here's my new theory. So, this gets a little wild, so hang with me here. All right,
Okay.
so it's popping out of the desert here. Scroll down almost like 2 pages, 3 pages. All right, let's keep scrolling here. Scroll all the way down till you see connections to Twilight Princess.
Okay, I see it.
Okay, so the thing popping out of the ground, this could still be a dungeon popping out of the ground, but
Yeah.
we know what it technically is. So in Breath of the Wild, there was an area called Arbiter's Grounds. And when that links to Twilight Princess's Arbiter's Grounds, where there was a prison, right? So you see the ruins of the prison when you go there in Breath of the Wild. Just like multiple spots within Breath of the Wild, you will see references to Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, Ocarina of Time, seeing, let's say, Lon Lon Ranch, right, being damaged.
Sure.
So this is a Twilight Princess area damaged, right? Well, you go to this exact spot, you can sort of look at the structures of Breath of the Wild. Well, in this trailer, you can tell that is that spot, and it's even called Arbiter's Ground. On the map in the trailer, when he's you can literally see when he pulls the map the name of the spot. So
Gotcha.
anyway, what I'm getting at, that is the prison popping up. Now, is this prison a dungeon? It could be, but we do know it's the prison from Twilight Princess where they captured Ganon in Twilight Princess, had him chained against the wall. You had 6 sages around him and basically sort of capturing him and put him into the prison for the rest of his life kind of deal, right? Imprisoning him. In Twilight Princess, he has a hole in his chest, right? Well,
Yep.
You'll know why, and maybe I'm not gonna say here, but something happens with Ganon, Twilight Princess, creates that hole in his chest, right? And with the previous trailer with this new game, you can see Ganon's bones sort of getting grabbed and feeding sort of life to him or taking stuff from him, one of the two. But that's the exact same spots where he has the light opening up in Twilight Princess in his chest, connecting the two there. And then as well, when I was talking about the 6 sages in Twilight Princess, well, he kills one of the sages. There's 5 left. They imprison him, right? Well, in Breath of the Wild, there's an area where it has the same 6 pillars for the sages that they have in Twilight Princess representing them. They have them in Breath of the Wild. You see the 6 pillars. One of them is knocked over because he killed one of the 6 sages. So representing in Breath of the Wild, they had one of them fell over, and you have the other 5 remaining of that location. And then here we are here linking Twilight Princess to this new game. So it looks like the same Ganon from N64 Ocarina of Time, right? Well, he comes again, Twilight Princess, and Twilight Princess confirms a lot of that things when it comes to them even showing like the shadow of there's a lot of links between the two connecting Ocarina of Time with Twilight Princess, and then they seem to be doing it with Tears of the Kingdom, linking Twilight Princess to Tears of the Kingdom. So we have the whole Ganon bit, we have the sages, we have the towers knocked down of that, right? So scroll up a bit here. Look at the main logo of The Legend of Zelda with the sword, right?
Right.
It literally is the Twilight Princess symbolism where it breaks. The rest of the sword is formed with Twilight Princess symbolings.
Oh, I see that.
You see what I'm saying?
Interesting. It's the same exact thing, yeah.
It's the same.
Towards
it's
the bottom
same
there.
stuff there. Yes, exactly.
Interesting.
Another link to Twilight Princess. Another big link to Twilight Princess are the bridges that are just all throughout. When you're playing Breath of the Wild, when you look at the bridge design, it's to the T to design of the bridge and Twilight Princess specifically. But a lot of people knew that even in Breath of the Wild, because that's one of the many things, right? But it looks to be the Ganon from Twilight Princess is now finally back, is what's happening in Tears of the Kingdom. So that's
exciting.
Yes. Very cool there.
All right. I'm glad we'll see more of of Ganondorf in general. He always makes it a better game. So
yeah, it straight up shows his face.
Isn't it also the guy who Commander Shepard is going to play him?
Yeah,
that who it was?
the voice actor. Yeah.
Thought that was cool. So.
Yeah, it's actually a good voice actor playing him, and you can hear him in the trailer talking there for a minute. All right, let's get into another theory here. So you have Link. Looks like, I think dungeons are still coming back, though. I don't think it's just caves and we still don't have dungeons. I think that prisoner is going to be one of the dungeons, but we don't know for sure. But there are bits throughout the trailer where it looks like he's like indoors doing dungeon stuff, right? So scroll, do you see after the monsters, if you're looking at the notes, right after that where it's showing the dungeon, so where he's like pushing the wheel? That's a very pushing a wheel puzzle thing within dungeons in Zelda specifically. You go down where he's dodging the lasers. This looks like he's in a dungeon falling down, dodging lasers. Now, we also need to note that he has some glider suit thing. I'm guessing that's just maybe clothing you get throughout the game to where, what, helps you glide? Can you potentially do some like Super Mario World glide thing where you can kind of puff back up again or something? Like, is that like some sort of special item that gives you an ability to like almost fly? Because you have the paraglider, so why would you need this glider? This glider thing must be doing something different. What is that different thing? In my head, my theory is just like maybe getting a puff back up instead of just purely gliding.
You know what? That actually makes a lot of sense. Could be something like that.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, occasionally in all the Zelda games that, you've had some items don't really matter, but I'd say 90% of the time they're all very useful. So I'm sure there'll be some sort of good use for it,
Now it could just be clothing you can equip and it helps you just glide a little more. But you have the paraglider, so what would be the point of that? I just feel there's more purpose there.
There's gotta be.
Scrolling down past those lasers, the next page here. Here's a next like theory thing. So in the trailer, they show a guy with the ears and like 6 tears all around him. Sorry, 7, right? One of the tears are confirmed to Zelda holding, right? And that is the same tear that it shows somewhere else in the trailer of what looks to be Zelda wearing that tear, but looking a little different, like as if some time traveling bit is happening.
Oh, man,
I'm pretty sure that's the same Zelda, but one in the past, one in the future. You have the same tear on Ganon's forehead. He has a red one. And then you have one more tear appear on the prince's hand of the Zora. He has a blue one on his hand. Zelda's carrying a yellow one. Ganon has a red one, right? And there's another image of there being 7 total. So are you going to be sort of collecting these tears and trying to get it from different people? Maybe Ganon's the last one with the last tier. Maybe he's the boss there or something,
I guess that could make sense even with the title of the game, something along those lines.
There's definitely tiers in previous Zeldas, like Skyward Sword had tiers, Twilight Princess had tiers you had to gather. So tiers aren't anything new to the lore of Zelda.
Sure.
Scroll down, next page here. There's a guy talking to Zelda. This is, I forget their race, but these are, when you're in the sky, the guys you're fighting, the Zelion or something like that. I'm forgetting the name. But that seems to be like a king for them, talking with Zelda, being like, hey, basically trying to comfort her and say, Link is the basically link to saving this world. And then she looks up surprised that he even knows who Link is. But she's wearing jewelry to where in the second image here, you can see some of pieces sort of throughout the background of her jewelry. And she's wearing the jewelry of these people. So she's basically made friends with him. They like her. She likes them. Definitely a close connection. Yet when we start the game, we're fighting these guys. Why? Right? So this is where time travel starts this theory of like, well, why is there a disconnect there? There's a part in the trailer where Link's holding a Master Sword, right? But his sword, half of it's like broken and then it's just some corrupted stuff on the end of the blade. But in this new trailer, you see Zelda holding the full complete Master Sword, right? And one last screenshot here, this last one, whenever we got the wall mural part of the game and them going to narration, they show Zelda and they show Link. But Link he's supposed to be like the hero, but he's like has this sort of green stuff all around him of his body and even his sword. But this sort of same green stuff, that's the same sort of stuff you're using to manipulate items with in this new game. His equipment, his arm is all in these same patterns of those wall mirrors from Breath of the Wild, right? So now we're finally in this form of being this hero on the wall mirrors to save it. But there clearly seems to be like a time distance between like, okay, where do the wall mirrors come from? Also, why is there complete sword or half complete, whatever. So the theory is Zelda is in the past or the future, and Link is in the reverse, right? Now, I would assume Zelda's in the past, Link is in the future, right? And they seem to be disconnected by time. And the Master Sword, right, is going to be that little sort of connecting thing. And I'm going to assume, right, he may even find the Temple of Time, put in the sword, and he's able to go between past and future or something. I don't know. But
yeah, that'll definitely bring me back.
They are definitely showing a distance of time between past and future. And you're talking it could be what was it, 100 years or 1,000 years that he was asleep?
I think it was 100, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm thinking 100. But it looks to be she may be way before even that 100. She may be like way, way back to these ancient times because all of those ancient machines and all that, they all come from this specific thing that happened thousands of years ago, right?
Sure.
Zelda could be far back. You're talking thousands of years. We don't even know how far back because she is hanging out with the king of them all, right? And yeah, also here is Link even fighting him. What even brought him back? You know, so there's a whole bit where there could be potential time traveling bits and just old ancient stuff popping back out of nowhere for some reason, along with Ganon stuff. So Ganon may not be like the only threat happening as well. So
man, so much to unpack. God.
Yep.
I just wonder how much of this stuff is going to end up one way or another. I just know that once it does come out and we start figuring all this stuff out, hopefully people, don't do the crappy thing and start posting all this stuff, keep it low key, so we can all experience it on our own.
It's great. We're getting so much just Zelda lore stuff throughout this trailer and knowing that it's going to take place within the game, knowing it at least connects to more than just Breath of the Wild was a very standalone, have a sort of isolated experience, and here's some ruins to some past Zelda stuff. But in my head, I always sort of assumed and thought that, hey, if they were going to do a sequel, we got to confirm the sequel, they're for sure going to start unearthing all of these references and making it like a more of a Zelda, Like,
sure.
It seems to make sense to me. And they're going way harder into it than I was expecting. I thought like, ooh, now we're just going to know a bit more of how it all connects. And they seem to be showing just straight up, oh, here's Ganon. Like, oh, here's that location straight out of Twilight Princess, right? Here's this prison popping out of the ground that Ganon was initially imprisoned in. So they're really leaning hard into previous Zelda lore in this game, which is so cool. Really, really exciting. And I'm only talking Twilight Princess stuff. There's Wind Waker stuff all through Breath of the Wild. What if the same Wind Waker stuff goes deep as well, right? What if the same Link to the Past stuff goes deep as well? We have no idea just how many different Zeldas could all be sort of digging deep into and pulling from and making some sort of ultimate compilation of it all. Now, that's just some like big brain, wow, but at least we know for sure of some Twilight Princess stuff coming back. But why wouldn't the rest if you can see the rest in Breath of the Wild? That's where I'm, going there. And then two little things I noticed that was really funny. He fused the sword with his shield. The fact that at this point, now we just know anything goes, okay?
You can do anything.
You have an item, you're fusing it to the other item, whatever you want to do. That's cool to know, right? I felt that would be a roadblock, but clearly not. So that was hilarious. And then
that's hilarious.
enemies seem to be interacting and fighting with each other naturally. So in Breath of the Wild, you would see them fighting with each other, but it always still was something that you technically had to start, even if you just blew some barrel up and then they start attacking because of that. They're showing clearly here that people are just naturally fighting anyway, whether you have anywhere near them or not. So that's cool to know.
Yeah, no, that's God. There's so much. The more stuff we look at this, just gets me so excited, man. Just less than a month left.
I was thinking she was a goddess, but I'm thinking she is Zelda. I mean, she's wearing the same yellow thing that the other Zelda was holding in her hands, right? I think this is showing the Zelda from a past or a future, or whatever the case is. But yes, she's darker, but again, like genetics can make someone lighter or darker over time, right? But I think that's clearly Zelda. So if you look on, do you see, scroll through here where it shows Ganon, the page with Ganon, but right above Ganon it shows.
Okay, yeah, I see it. Oh, I see what you mean.
Right, so in one part of the trailer, she's holding a medallion and looking like normal Zelda in Breath of the Wild, and then you have, and then it shows her wearing that piece. I mean, that's got to be Zelda, right?
A shade darker, yeah. Interesting.
Anyway.
Oh man, I can't wait to figure all this stuff
out. If not, it's at least the goddess, right? And it's weird you'll at least be interacting with her, and then maybe she gives it to Zelda. But I'm gonna say it's the same person. I'm gonna say that is Zelda. That looks.
That's what I would guess. That's what I would guess. I'm leaning towards it being the same person.
And if it's the same person, then there's some time traveling going on.
We both agree that it's very unlikely that this is the same person in the same time period. Just it's a different lighting or something. No, they're purposely. Looks different, right?
Yeah.
That's what I would expect. Okay. Very cool, man. God, I cannot wait for this game. So much stuff to be excited about. And let me ask you this last question to wrap this up. If you think about your total playtime of this game, let's say you spend 100 hours playing it, how much percent do you think you're going to play handheld, and how much percent do you think you're going to play on a TV screen?
I am pretty even when it comes to handheld and TV. I'm going to want to see this on the TV first, I'll tell you that. When I get this, I'm popping in, throwing it on the TV, playing all night. But, okay, let's say, let me really think it through, because there's so much of just like roaming and exploring and maybe chilling on the couch and playing handheld while something's watching on the TV and you're just doing all of that extra little.
Now, should you even compare this to what you did with Breath of the Wild? Are you going to approach this differently? It's a newer game.
But see, I think this is going to not take the same approach. I think a lot of people think it is. I think a lot of people are going to think it's going to be just as much exploring the open lands. I think this is going to be like trying to pull back to older Zelda strings of how they're structured. Yeah, and I'm not saying you're not going to explore. You're going to be exploring tons of caves. We know that 100%, right? But this land and climbing mountains and all of that, I don't think that's going to be as much of an emphasis in this game. I think it's going to be more of going into a cave and that feeling more like a dungeon. And then maybe even also getting dungeons on top of it. And getting more of a structured, we have 7 tiers we got to collect from different people. Let's go to this area, get this tier. Go to this area, get this tier.
Sure.
I could see it playing out very differently. And I'm saying all that to say, all of that leads me more to wanting to play on a TV. If I know, like Breath of the Wild, after a dozen or so hours, you knew I'm gonna be running on the open lanes for the next 5 or 10 hours in little spurts. And let me open up a handheld, make a little progress, get a Korok seed or two, complete a shrine or two, get to the top of this mountain and stop, right?
Sure.
I don't know if this game's going to flow like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Play, but I have some suspicion it's going to work a little differently where I won't want to do so much handheld stuff. So it's hard to say.
Yeah. Yeah, if I had to guess right now, yes, I'm going to want to see this game on my screen, on my monitor. But I have a suspicion I'm going to spend a lot of time handheld in this game.
That cave screenshot, for example, where he's fighting the enemies in the carts in the cave, I want to see that on a TV.
Yeah, that's totally reasonable.
And what if there's a ton of cave exploration with a lot of just like actual Zelda puzzles up in it? Because we're seeing straight up puzzling going on.
I just love playing on the Switch so much. It's just so
Yeah.
convenient to me, you know? So we'll see. But again, like you said, one thing I do know for sure is I'm gonna spend a lot of time on this game. So it very well could be that what you're describing, like, okay, I'm home, I want to play on the screen, you know? I'm out, let me play on the, because we all know that there's been times where you're home and you're still playing on handheld, right? That happens. But with this game, if I'm home, maybe I'll pop it in, you know?
And knowing me, even if it's bigger, pivotal stuff, it's so late. It's like 1 a.m. I really want to finish something. I'll like take that thing to bed and finish what I was doing, regardless of how important it was. And
yeah, the way I do it is usually I'll play on my Switch Lite, and then every time you're done playing, as long as you're connected to online, it uploads to the cloud saves, and then I'll just start playing right from my Switch that just sits on the.
Yeah, I was curious about that because I have a Switch Lite, but I've realized over the last month or two to where when you first switch from one system to the other, it'll say, "Hey, your save's not on here. Do you want to get it?" You hit yes, but then going forward, it then does it automatically every other time. It always initially asks once, and then that's it. So it is super, super simple when I'm playing this
that they actually
to swap between the two. So I may just play Switch Lite Portable, I may just keep my Switch docked and jump to the TV without actually moving between the same Switch, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. So
yeah,
I'm excited, man. If you don't like Zelda, I'm sure you didn't enjoy that. All
right. Final Fantasy. I just put here Final Fantasy 16. I wrote 14. 16 is seeming to be like the Resident Evil 7 comeback for the series. 5 and 6, we're feeling a little,
Sure.
Because it's been a while. I want to say Final Fantasy 12 was probably the last big mainline everyone was super, super stoked for. 13 as well, sure, but once they actually were starting to play it, a lot of people had a lot of issues with it. 12 seemed to be the last, this is Square's masterpiece, everyone enjoy.
Right.
And it just being such a great, pivotal thing. And this everything I've seen in 16 seems to be, they put everything into this, and this is it's been forever. You're talking since PS2 days of them Square Enix putting their whole company and money and effort and time into making an incredible game. Yeah.
And to me, this gives me the same vibes as when Breath of the Wild was going to come out, and they were saying we're kind of like going back to our roots and everything. This game is reminding me of that. This is reminding me more of the older Final Fantasies, where you're in this different kind of setting. It's like a medieval thing, and you have these warriors, and it's less of the sci-fi, science-y stuff. It's more like grounded. I think it's great. I would love to see that.
What did you watch of this?
The whole presentation, I watched it. Now, granted, I was finishing up some schoolwork stuff while I was watching it, so I didn't sit there and very clearly watch everything that was going on. But I did, I got the gist of it, and I had it on in the background, and man, I saw some really, really cool stuff. The part where the announcer says, and now let's let Clive show us, some of his skills that he's learned, whatever. And you just see him fighting for 5 minutes. I was like, this is awesome. This looks so fun. It looks really, really cool. And I love action games. So the fact that I'm not going to sit here and say that I would have, if it was up to me, I would have chosen to completely do away with any sort of turn-based stuff. I wouldn't have chosen that. That being said, am I upset that they're doing this? No, I think I'm fine with it. It doesn't really bug me at all.
Yeah, I would have chosen the Final Fantasy VII remake route, right?
Same here.
But the fact that they're only having one person and not being a party, I guess I then would be like, oh, well, I can't really do that then, because a big part of that is swapping between party members. If it was just the one person, it would feel a little shallow. So I guess they really do need to do what they're doing.
It just looks so cool and flashy. It kind of reminds me of some of the older characters that, even though it might be kind of corny in the moment, they're doing some sort of cool thing. And it's half corny, but it's also wow, that actually was really cool.
Yeah.
It kind of gives me vibes like that. It gives me more vibes of Final Fantasy 12, for example, where it's there's some sort of kingdom and there's families going against each other. That whole thing, I'm kind of getting some of that.
It's very 6, 9, 12, right? It's up in that camp.
6 definitely reminds me of, which I think is awesome. So I'm so into this, man. I cannot believe that we're getting a Zelda game and a Final Fantasy in the same year. That's like unheard of. That's so awesome.
And they
I
both
can't
look
wait.
like, wow, this is
They
some of
both
the
look like,
best stuff
one
I've
of the
ever
best.
seen. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And we're getting them like, what, 2 months apart from each other?
I think some people are like sleeping on Final Fantasy as well. I see
No,
some people
1 month,
posting things.
because May then June. 1 month.
Yeah,
Sorry.
1 month
Oof.
apart.
It's wow. Okay, let me
We're
think
gonna
that
have a
through
good
here. It's
we're
gonna
gonna
be
have a good month. We're gonna have a good month to play a lot of Zelda. I can't wait. So yeah, I thought the video, like you said, the video didn't. If my hype level for Final Fantasy 16 was, let's just pretend, because it's way higher than this, but let's pretend it was 50%.
Yeah.
It would have only moved me to 55%. I'm already there. No, to be more accurate, it's more like I went from 90% to 95% now. Like it's not didn't really do much to change my mind. Whatever. Now the Zelda trailer, even though I was already excited, that jumped up like 20%, 30%. You know, that was like a big deal. So
exactly.
I'm all in for this. That's why I was okay watching this in the background. Because like I don't have to see that much more. I kind of watched a bit here and there.
I looked away a lot
of
as it was playing, and because I didn't want to see so much, and they were showing, I felt a little too much.
They were showing
but
a lot, yeah.
They didn't show anything story-wise. It was still just technically gameplay bits. But man, those little like icon battles.
Icon battles.
I mean, they went. What did they show? Like 4 of them. I was like, we already got it in previous trailers. You didn't have to break down almost the whole fight in front of us. But they're swapping between even different forms, so it's like you fighting almost human version of him, and then eventually gets mad enough and forms into a gigantic thing, and then you form into a gigantic thing, and it's like some Power Ranger stuff happening here, and it's just like big epic battles that, I mean, look, the money and production per square inch and all of that they put into this, I mean, well, this is the most expensive Square Enix game we've ever gotten, bar none. I mean, and this may be the most expensive video game just ever created outside of maybe Cyberpunk. I mean,
it's gonna be up there for sure, man. But I love that. I love that they're going so hard into this game, throwing all their eggs into it. Like, man, that's what because think about it. We don't get a lot of video games that are big budget, you know, once every first of all, it's like once every 6 years, right? And so when it comes out, I want it to really, really come out.
We
you know,
finally have this game to show us the true power of the PlayStation 5. You know,
that's what they keep saying. So I'm ready to see it. Show me it.
Unless they're lying on screen, this looks like to be the most impressive thing on PlayStation 5. I mean,
yes, and you know, if you're gonna come out,
it's been a while since Final Fantasy has done this, right? Final Fantasy 13, when it released, was the last time that we've gotten, oh wow, huge graphical jump, showcasing here's the best, pushing the system to its limits, right? Final Fantasy was always so good about that in the past, and it looks to be like they're doing it again here, and it's been a long time.
Yeah, I agree. I cannot wait, man. Super excited. So yeah, keep in mind, stay excited for that.
My favorite thing out of just all of it was just seeing the environments of like him walking through a city, or him walking through just like a field or a cave or something. I'm just like, I mean, this is the best graphics I may have ever seen. That's like, again, like I haven't felt that since I was watching when Final Fantasy 13 was getting revealed, and I was like, whoa, this is the best I've ever seen. Like that's a long time ago.
Yeah. It's been a while. What year did Final Fantasy 15 come out?
Because 15, I think there was games that looked as good during that same time frame, you know? Like Witcher 3 was a thing, and that was already, you know, looking great.
I'm just curious how long ago it came out, and now I see 2016, so...
Okay.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So Zelda was 6 years ago. FF15 was 7 years ago. So both dropping in the same year, within a month of each other. Pretty awesome.
Both coming from Japan and just shoving just the power that they're both bringing. Everything else around it is just looks so small in comparison. It's wild. Yes. Anyway, all right. Moving on. Finally, something that sucks. I was a little too excited for too long. We can't keep it up. We need to come back down. Redfall is launching on Xbox consoles with quality mode only. Xbox Series X, 4K 30 FPS. Xbox Series S, 1440p 30 FPS. 60 FPS performance mode will be added via game update at a later date. This game comes out when? The 2nd, if not the 5th, something like that. Really early in May. Breath of the Wild 2, aka Tears of the Kingdom, that comes out like the 12th. You had about a week window there, and you just blew it. Because there is no way I'm playing 30 frames per second. And my PC, I don't know, man. Like, I'm going to see if I can play it like 720p on my PC and try to get 60 frames out of it.
60.
We'll see. A shooter, an online multiplayer co-op shooter.
That blew my mind when I heard that.
This is the dumb. Oh man!
But this is. Do you know why this is happening? It's because of all the dumb people who keep saying they're okay with 30. We don't mind. And now we get this. Now you get, like, when we were on PS4 and Xbox One, and a game would come out at 30 and with no option to change it, and people would complain, but then others would say, stop complaining. What's the problem? Stop complaining.
It's not a big deal.
Now we're here. Now we're here 7 years later, and we're still in the same boat. It's like so ridiculous. Like, come on, give me a break. No one, sorry, I shouldn't say no one. Some people still need to see the light, but most people do not want to play a shooter, an online shooter where you play together. Imagine me and you playing Redfall when it comes out, and I'm playing over here at 100 FPS and you're at 30. And we're trying to play together.
I wouldn't accept it. I'd be too aggravated, and I would be like, bro, I guess I'm gonna play it like 540.
This is a game I'm definitely going to use a month of Game Pass for and see how it goes. Because frame rate aside,
because that's the issue. This is like Arcane. This is looking great. You know, it's been a while. Like, I was
frame rate aside. I'm gonna do a month of Game Pass. Probably play this with you, see what I think, and then go from there. You know?
Yeah, I'm gonna play this however I have to.
Yeah, hopefully it's a really fun game that we both enjoy, and then I'll buy it, and then we'll play it as long as we want. You know, that's what I'm hoping for. So I'm excited. This
is way bigger than this game, though. I got to go to Xbox here.
Yeah.
How many years you've been needing that big exclusive? Okay, Hi-Fi Rush. It was great. But that was just Shadow Drop. This is a cool game, right? It's like Starfield this year. We got the Hellblade 2 coming. These big releases. We got the Perfect Dark game under works. We got the Fable game under works. This is like these games are starting to like rise up, sort of prove Xbox games. And the first one to sort of come in this is hitting us with some 30 FPS, and it's a shooter. And it's like, Xbox, what are you doing as a whole? You can't release this. Delay it if you have to. I would accept a delay, no problems. Push it 2 or 3 months, get your frame rate 60, release it back out. Because once you release it and it's 30, people play and they're like, yeah, I can't do this. Zelda comes out. There you go. People aren't going to come back. You get one shot. You get one shot on releasing and getting everyone's attention, right?
Yep.
You fix it after the fact, you're not going to have as many people's attention.
I agree. It's first impressions, you know?
And Xbox as a whole is going to look really poor because of this. Because this is the first of many games that they were going to be dropping to finally, our exclusives are coming, guys. Here they are. And this is it. This is what you deliver to us. This is so bad. I can't accept this. And Xbox looks
not good.
Terrible now. And you have PlayStation and Nintendo over here. Zelda, Final Fantasy. You're trying to drop some Redfall, and you're dropping 30 FPS on a shooter. It's so dumb. So dumb. You look terrible as a whole because of it.
Oh, boy. Well, and also, I'm trying to think of what other games are around this time. And if I'm not mistaken, I know Star Wars comes out
a little before this, yeah.
A few days before this, right?
Yeah.
Let me see if there's anything else. So I got, personally for me, I'm playing Horizon this week when the DLC comes out. Star Wars comes out on the 28th. Redfall May 2nd. Aside from that, it's pretty open. So let's see if
they had a little window to get people's attention here and get people hyped Game Pass, get people hyped on Xbox, get people hyped on an awesome Arcane game, get hyped on a good co-op shooter. Like, it's been a long time since we had something like this. Everything was looking really great, and then this drops and just completely destroys the vibe.
Yep, that is true. Well, we'll see. We'll see. We're definitely both interested in it. So let's see. Let's see if they can.
Maybe they can somehow just, I don't know, work till midnight every night and get the 60 FPS going by launch. Yes, I'm supporting crunch in this
Man.
instant for my own
Right.
personal
Yes,
benefit.
please.
Please.
Crunch
just...
away. It will be worth it. Trust me.
Okay.
Oh man. So next up, we got the Super Mario Bros. Movie, which is a record-breaking box office success. According to the Hollywood Reporter, the film walked away with over 375 million in sales in its first 5 days, surpassing Frozen 2 as the top opening animated film premiere globally. That includes a 206 million domestic haul, 146 million of which was earned over the weekend. Remember that the film premiered on a Wednesday. Overseas, the movie has earned over 173 million. Additionally, the Super Mario Bros. Movie is the top opening film of 2023, beating Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. It has also become Illumination's most successful opening and has the best opening of any video game film adaptation, surpassing Sonic the Hedgehog 2's debut. The film also has the biggest 5-day premiere ever, a record previously held by Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen. If all of that wasn't enough, the film also had the biggest IMAX opening weekend of all time at 21.6 million globally. That's awesome. I mean, I guess I should throw this in too. I mean, it goes right along with it. Super Mario Bros. Ground Theme becomes first video game song added to the National Recording Registry. Officially titled Ground Theme, it was composed by Nintendo's Koji Kondo and first appeared in 1985 Super Mario Bros. In World 1-1. Song has since become the most well-known melody of the Mario franchise, not to mention one of the most recognizable music tracks in video games. Now will be forever preserved alongside some of pop culture's most famous and influential songs. Having this music preserved alongside so many other classic songs is such a great honor, said Kondo in a statement. It's actually a little bit difficult to believe. Well, that's really cool. I mean, it is a very recognizable song, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And as for this movie haul, man, it just makes me happy to see that because, you know, sometimes I worry these critics who are a little bit out of touch, some of them at least.
It's like what, half of them, it seems like.
Jesus. Yeah, I don't know what they were. But it's funny because every video game reviewer that happened to review this movie all had great things to say about it. So it's like
we all get it. We all get it. It's the only people who don't get it are like what? People in their 30s who have somehow just never played a video game and just don't understand the context of like what they're trying to do on the big picture.
Right.
I guess they were expecting again like, okay, Mario White gets AIDS from Peach somehow, spreads it to Luigi because he had a cut on his leg, and now Luigi has AIDS, and they have to somehow find a cure. I don't know. Like they're expecting some weird, high, heavy plot and people dying around them or something. What do you? It's Mario. They clearly don't get the premise of Mario, and yeah,
it's very strange. But you know what? I'm glad it made out all right because that's what we wanted, and I'm sure now we're gonna get sequels. We're gonna get, you know, the Super Mario Bros. Cinematic universe.
Now, you know, you start to wonder, like, is there more coming? You would, of course, there's yes, but in what level exactly? That's where I start to get like, okay, like Zelda, Metroid, are these things actually being made into films? Right. If they were, oh my god, that would be incredible, right? I mean, but that's such a big. Now those are gonna have to involve plots and stuff, you know.
Sure.
Not even necessarily plots. It's like Metroid, right? Or Zelda. They have very, very simple premises still, but it still revolves like creepy atmospheres and slower, and like Mario is super blast in your face hype the whole time, right? You can't really do that with those. You have to actually like really think out some sort of be a lot more clever in its delivery, I guess.
Well, the thing that killed me the most is the reviews that say stuff like, it was all good until they started doing all this video game stuff. I'm like, dude, come on, man. Are you serious? Once Mario starts hitting blocks with his head, it lost me. Like, are you serious, man?
So I mean, does Nintendo go beyond this? I
mean, as in outside of movies, or you mean with more movies?
Let's say movies.
Yeah.
How do how do they handle this as Nintendo as a whole? Like, do we see Star Fox stuff? Like, I'm confused. I see what you mean. You know, like where would Nintendo go with this?
I would want them to do that, but knowing Nintendo, they're so protective of any new venture they go on.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's gonna be just Mario universe stuff for a while, a few movies. Okay. Maybe eventually we could see some other. Maybe they'll try some other IP, which I think would be amazing. By the way,
yeah, it's hard for me to it's hard to me to imagine Nintendo actually being okay with throwing Metroid on the big screen.
Right. Exactly.
It just sounds for some reason that sounds way out of their wheelhouse. Even though that's the most Nintendo thing ever, technically, it's just like that would make
that would make so much sense for them to do that. But
but now I'm never gonna. I mean, even if we got 10 Mario movies in a row,
I'm not complaining.
Like, it's still awesome to me. They can still take it so many cool directions. So
sure.
Yeah, I mean, we already have teased of at least something happening in the next one, right? When it comes to Mario film.
That is true.
After the credits and all that. So, what do you think about like this versus like Sonic? I'm seeing a lot of people say like, "Well, Sonic's technically the better movie. This is just a little more." Like, no. Sonic was cool. Like, I liked.
I liked Sonic. I thought it was really good, but I think I enjoyed
that's more of the same of. That's what I expected, right? Out of video game going to film was just like, oh, here's this one video game character. I was complaining about it, right? Here's this video game character dropped into the real world. How are they gonna survive?
Right,
what goofy things are gonna come up with? This is this is actually Mario Brothers.
Yeah, you know what? That's a good point. That he's just dropped into it, and this is actually a straight up Mario Brothers movie in the Mushroom Kingdom. You know?
Yeah. This is the stuff I want to see. I want to see big giant worlds of video game stuff sort of thrown up on a big screen. I don't want to see our world. I've seen enough.
Right. You want to go outside of this world.
All right. Moving on. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League delayed till February of next year. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League has been delayed to the following year, following recent rumors that it wasn't going to make its May 26th release date. Superhero co-op shooter will now launch on February 2nd, 2024. Developer Rocksteady posted a short message on Twitter stating it wants to take the time needed to ensure the best possible experience.
Well, I say do what you got to do. Just don't come back with all that microtransaction nonsense when you show your face again, please.
Because I was thinking, how could they fix this, right? That's what I was saying last time. I was like, oh, it looks to be getting delayed. But how are they going to fix it in just a month or two? Well, February of next year, I think that's enough time to fix all of this garbage, right?
Yeah, all the live service stuff. Just give us... Guys, it's not that hard. Like, Guardians of the Galaxy did it. Spider-Man did it. Just give us a good single-player game with these heroes in it that we like. That's it.
Well, that may be going too far because then you would have to structure... Well, I don't know. We don't know how the game's structured. Maybe the game is structured where it has a lot of narrative. It was just a matter of, oh, there's too much side mission, microtransaction, live service crap, right? But if they took that out, now is the game too shallow? A year, that may not be long enough to make entire plot lines for characters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What do you fix necessarily? If you take the live service stuff out, I guess we just have to hope that they had enough of the other,
right,
and finish that other narrative and go bigger with it, and having a year to flesh that out more. But you can't necessarily change the entire game.
Sure, they gotta have a good foundation, or else this game is just gonna suck anyway.
I don't know. I still don't know if I have a lot of trust in this. Even if it coming out February next year, still iffy.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. You take this. I don't know. You got more to say on it?
No, I was just gonna say that I don't know how to feel about this game. In my phone, I usually keep a list of like the games that I'm excited for. Right? I put like the dates on like a reminder, and I just reluctantly moved this to February 2nd. I'm like, do I even want this in my list? I don't even know if I want to get this game. So
this
I'm
is
not excited for it by any
vibes
means.
Or something, you know?
Just
not about
I think that's the perfect way to describe it. So we shall see. All right, last story for today. Dreams live support ending. Media Molecule has announced that it's wrapping up live support for Dreams in order to focus on an exciting new project. In a blog post, the studio states that live support will conclude after September 1st. That means it won't receive any new updates, but players can still install and play Dreams, including creating and sharing games after that date. Previously announced updates, will still hit the game before September, such as patches improving animations in the create mode, as well as the trend update. Events such as Dreamscom, Impy Awards, and All Hallows Dreams will no longer take place as well. So I think there's a really easy solution that could have fixed this game's life, is to put it on PC too. Why? Don't you know that people on PC are the best at creating content for you? Haven't you learned that by now? With all the mods and this game is basically mod central. So I don't know. I just think that would have been a smart idea instead of just letting it die.
Yeah. And now we got Fortnite take helm.
Right. To take that over.
Yeah. I mean, it's their own fault. That's all I'm gonna say. They easily could have done something about it, and they just chose not to. That's the way I see it. They're just stubborn, being weird. Players don't have any incentive to make anything on that platform outside of maybe 10 people playing it. What? Wow. That's, why would somebody spend their time creating such lavish stuff on there for nobody to check it out? No money to come their way. No ways for other people to even build upon what they built. Just Sony didn't know what they were doing there. Or I guess let me just at least say Media Molecule clearly didn't understand what to do with this project. Okay.
Yeah, they sure did not.
Let's get into what we're watching, what we're playing.
All right. So I after finishing, I don't know if I talked about, I'm pretty sure I talked about beating Resident Evil, did I?
Yeah. Oh, no. You were about to beat it. You were super close.
I beat it. Absolutely loved it. It was such a great game. So much fun. I'd probably come back to it at some point if there weren't so many other games to play. But yeah, only great things to say about it. As of right now, it's probably my favorite Resident Evil entry overall, just out of all of them. Remakes, originals, everything. I just thought it was so good. I absolutely loved it. So yeah, I'll leave that there. Anyway, I started playing Chia again. And when I first picked it back up, it was like a little disorienting because it had been, at least a few weeks since I last played.
Yeah.
But after playing for a good 20 minutes again, I was like right back into it. This game is so, I love it. I just think it's so, first of all, it's so pretty. It's so good looking, right? The way they made the environments look, the characters. You can tell they really did take a real place and use the culture and the music and the visuals and everything and put it all into this game, which you can tell they put a lot of work onto it.
It's really dumb that I didn't think about this before until yesterday. But this game is not like Breath of the Wild. You know what this game is like? Wind Waker. It's Wind Waker.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
the way the characters look, the way they look,
the way they move, you navigate. It actually made me learn more about. So there's a real place called Caledonia that I had never even heard of, to be honest. It's like, east of Australia. And this game is based on people who live there, and it seems like they really did a lot of research with their music, their culture, their everything they do.
Well, the people making it are also from there
too, which I think is cool. Like they really did it true to real life, and it's so like it just fits a video game so well. They did such a good job with it. But all that being said, the mechanics in the game are getting so fun now. Even just so like you at first, I didn't like that you kind of don't know where you are on the map at all times, and it kind of takes a while to get places. But after a while, I kind of like let go of that. And then I just teleport into a rock and shoot it into the sky, and then teleport into the rock again, and then shoot again, and then you glide down. It's like so much fun, So I've been getting further. I'm probably more than halfway through the game now, and
awesome.
The story's getting really interesting. I'm kind of liking where it's going. They have a lot of music segments where, for whatever reason, everyone just grabs an instrument, starts playing. Yeah, it's always really chill.
Very
really cool.
like Last of Us Part 2 instrument.
Yeah. I let it. Not because it's hard, but I kind of want to see what's going on. I let it like autoplay, and I kind of just watch it. Let's vibe out with the music. I love that. I think it's really cool. So I think it's really fun. It's definitely a short game from what I can tell. But yeah, so far,
I think that only does this game favors.
I agree. I think it would overstay its welcome if it was too long. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm going to keep playing that. And then I have Theater of the Final Bar Line. I wrote that I beat it. Now, technically, I did beat it. I didn't even expect to, by the way. I just saw the credits start rolling after I completed one more series.
Okay.
But I guess it's because you reached a certain level of rhythmia, which is like the currency you get in the game or whatever.
You got plenty of songs to play because you got hundreds.
Yeah, I have the whole top collector's edition, whatever you want to call it, and I think it was 500 total, 502 or something like that. So I have been keeping a list, right? And it has, for each of these series, how much do I have left? So I have Final Fantasy 4, 13 left. Final Fantasy 7 series, which is, just a bunch of everything Final Fantasy 7, 14 left. Final Fantasy 9, 18. Final Fantasy 10, 17. 11, 19. 12, 14. And then it says Final Fantasy 13 series, 17. Final Fantasy 14, 25 songs left. Final Fantasy 15, 15 songs left. And Dissidia, 20 songs left. So total, I'm looking at like 150 songs left still, something like that.
Did you ever play Dissidia?
I played it for a bit, not that much, but I played it somewhat.
Yeah, I played it a lot on PSP back in the day.
I've done so many of the series that I really enjoyed. I've been jumping around, ones that I'm familiar with, ones that I'm not as familiar with. I did all Final Fantasy VI. I loved it. 7, loved it. 14 has so many songs.
Yes, but how deep did you get again?
I didn't even start 14 yet.
Oh, okay.
I'm saving it. It's going to be one of the last ones I do.
I'm interested because I think, and I'm just trying to figure out, is it my bias towards 14 or is the music just on some next level to the previous? Yeah. I really think it's like some of Final Fantasy's best work is up in that title.
Okay. I'm glad to hear that. I can't wait to play it. I think I've been approaching it like doing the series that have less songs first.
Okay.
And I'm going to save the ones with a larger amount of songs for the end. So I'm excited. Yeah. The game is fantastic. I mean, there's so many. I still have so many hours left to go with this game. 100 something songs. I've been trying to. Every time I pick it up, I'll knock out like 4 or 5 songs in the series. So, and yeah, that's it. I've been playing those 2, and I guess coming up next is Horizon. So I'll be able to talk about that next week.
Yeah. So I went on this whole big journey. I didn't know what to write here, so I'm just gonna say it. But it revolves around one game. I did make a post about Dragon Quest V.
Yes.
So where do I begin here? Okay, remember when I was burning all those games for Dreamcast? Yeah. And so when I was doing all of that, finding different Dreamcast gems, well, I was using this website, CD Romance, and they have a bunch of games to where it only came out in Japan, and they sort of have English translations for it and stuff like that. Well, I was like, I'm curious, PS2 ways. There's plenty of Japanese-only PS2 games, I'm sure of. Well, I know. I was like, let me start looking through and see what they are. And one of the first things I see is Dragon Quest V. And I'm like, whoa, wait. Okay, so I was aware it was on DS. I was aware it was on mobile phones. But anytime I go back and play like DS JRPGs, I think they're pretty ugly. Like a big one that I always think of is like the GBA ones look so good, Golden Sun, but the Golden Sun on DS looks so bad. And I always thought these Dragon Quest games like 4, 5, 6 just look bad. It just looks really rough and gross and like jaggedies all over the screen, and like you can hardly make anything. It's like smudge on top of super low res on top of jaggies, and it's just disgusting to look at for me. So I always had an issue with that. Anyway, so I see this PS2 and I'm like, whoa, I've always wanted to play this game, especially because weirdly my kid's favorite like animated thing to watch on Netflix is Dragon Quest Your Story. It's so good. I've watched it so many times with him. I'd say like 4 times. He's probably seen it like 15, 20 times. But he loves this film. And so I've seen it plenty times over, and I'm like, well, I know the story. Is that going to ruin it? Because now I know how it ends and all of that. But the movie has this weird big twist at the end that's not even from the game. They do this like meta on Dragon Quest as a whole right at the end. So I technically don't know exactly how it sort of normally ends. So maybe this could be in my benefit. Anyway, so I see this. I've always wanted to play because Dragon Quest VIII was the first Dragon Quest I really liked. And the only reason I even got it is because it came with a Final Fantasy XII demo. And I was a Final Fantasy fanatic, right? I played previous Dragon Quest technically. Like, I saw them here and there. I always thought they looked really, like, bad compared to what Final Fantasy was doing. And looked a lot more, like, generic and basic. Or so I just thought from the outside in. But I eventually played 8 way after the fact, after playing 12 and all that, and ended up really, really enjoying it. And I totally get the appeal now. And then so like when 9 came out, I tried for a little bit, but it was just like online co-op stuff. I couldn't find people to play with. So then I jumped. 10's like what, an MMO, so I'm lost there. I'm like, oh, I really want to get into a Dragon Quest since 8. And 11 like won me over. One of the best JRPGs I've ever played. I put it up there with like Persona 5 and Dragon Quest 11 are like the two to play from last gen of just incredible titles. And they're even better on current hardware, and everyone should play those two titles, you know. It's like up there with like Death Stranding for me. I start up this Dragon Quest V because I see a PS2 while I'm playing emulation. I put it on my Steam Deck, higher the resolution, make everything look good. I have a little like speed toggle so I can do it ×2, ×3 battles and all of that. So nice. And I'm playing through this and it's completely winning me over. And it's really cool because like Harry Potter, for example, you know, when you watch the films and you're like, man, the book went way more in depth on this and this and this, right? Well, when I watch the film and then I'm playing the game, I'm like, dang, I'm 6 hours into this game. Fighting monsters aside, I'd be like 3 or 4 hours, and I've saw so much content. The film was only like, what, 2 hours at most? And I'm like, I'm seeing so many pockets I had no idea took place because I only saw the movie side of it all. And so it's just reminded me of like Harry Potter of like, man, reading it really does draw a way bigger picture than what those movies could ever do. And so it's cool getting some weird like, okay, I saw the movie, now I'm playing the game version of it, and this game is great. And, you know, it connects back to the very beginning of the episode, and you were talking about, oh, it's cool, the generations of the hiking with all of y'all. You got the son, the brother, the dad, all that. And so this game, the premise is you start off, it literally starts as you being born. They name the character, right? Okay. Then a few minutes in, you're real little, you're a kid. I don't know, 6, 7, 8, 9, somewhere up in there. And later on in the game, you're now like late teen, early 20s, and then later on in the game, your son is like the main person. And so like it brings it from like you being a baby to you having your own kid, and your own kid being the main character. And it just sort of goes through the generations in a really, really cool way. And it's Dragon Quest, and if you've ever played any Dragon Quest game, you know, just like the writing's always like really incredible, but also really funny. There's a lot of jabs, stuff like that. And this game is, in the movie, it never went in depth on like, oh, I found my pet, but I never understood how I got him necessarily or what was so important. It was like a 3-hour detour just on getting my pet and how important it was in the game. And I'm like, wow, I'm a lot more attached to this pet because of the journeys I had to take to get it. I had to go to this castle, wipe out all these ghosts out of here. Apparently there's a bunch of ghosts in this castle because some demons went and literally killed everyone in the castle because it didn't have any children there to play with. So they just kill everyone in the whole thing. And so they're not afraid to go dark, but yet they can still be really light and funny as well. And it's just so... the charm is just incredible. It's up there with when I was playing 8 and 11 on like, wow, even 5 is this great. And it's like, has Dragon Quest just always been this phenomenal and I've just never seen it? You know? Now, you go and play some NES ones and that's where it's like, no, okay, this is real rudimentary here. But I'd say Super Nintendo and on, for sure, like they really understand storytelling really well. And it kind of, it feels like, it gives me that, like, it's like Final Fantasy, but mixed with, like, Zelda. It's like a good blend of, like, Zelda and Final Fantasy. Because Zelda always has that, like, they will do serious bits within a Zelda game, but most of it is, like, just charming music, charming visuals, and more in this, like, well, the person who does Dragon Quest is, like, the Dragon Ball artist. So just, like, seeing vibrant art on top of the cool character design and monster design and all that. Like, it really elevates it up than just... It does a lot of things Final Fantasy just doesn't do. And Final Fantasy is a lot more of like... Final Fantasy is a lot more like cinematic, where Dragon Quest is a lot more like playing Zelda or something. And that's a good way I can distinguish the two.
I've always wanted to get into these games. For whatever reason, I never really did. But that last one always had my interest, you know?
Yeah, 5 is blown me away and how great it is, especially because it's technically pulling from a Super Nintendo game. But Dragon Quest 11 for sure. If you just got to go to one, go to that one. It's phenomenal. Same with like Persona. You might as well just play Persona 5. But anyway, just had to go into that. And let's get into new game watch, and we'll be out of here. Big
right.
stuff here. Here we come.
Oh boy.
Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster. I'm having a big thing here. I'm like, do I get this or do I get Mega Man Battle Network? I don't know. I want both pretty evenly bad, but I don't want to be getting. They both are just a collection of like older games I really want to play through. But yeah, that's gonna be. I don't know. Anyway, and that came out like a few days prior to our recording here, and I think I'm gonna go Battle Network route just because I don't know. I'm playing through 6. I'm back into it. I caught up to the part where in the podcast they were. Now I'm going along with them where they're at in the podcast I was listening to, going on a deep dive in the game. So now I'm starting it back up. And yes, the world is literally about to change. I don't know how or what, but I can clearly see it coming.
Can't wait. Okay.
So anyway, but these Pixel remasters are hitting, and man, like some of the best games ever made. 6 of them all in one collection. It's really cool. Yep. Anyway, and then next here, Horizon Forbidden West, Burning Shores, April 19th. Now, this is PS5 only. The original game was PS4, PS5, but this expansion is PS5 only. So know that.
I'm excited. It seems like they're doing a lot more with the new tech in this one.
I was watching the latest trailer. They were showing a new enemy and stuff. It looks cool.
I'm excited.
Coffee Talk Episode 2. Hibiscus and Butterfly, all platforms, April 20th. I have no idea what that is.
Waiting for this.
Lost Epic, Switch, April 20th. Advance Wars 1 and 2 reboot camp. It's finally here, April 21st. See, here's the thing. Do I just get this Advance Wars and say F it to the other games I've already played before? That's kind of what I want to do. Now, I know Advance Wars is also old collection thing, but I never actually played these games outside of just trying it out for a few hours. So I may there's my answer. I'm going Advance Wars 1 and 2. That's what I'm doing. Now, here's the thing. Zelda's about to come out. This comes out April 21st. Instead of paying $70, then this collection's I think is full price maybe. I could get that little ticket. You know, you get 2 games with the ticket.
Oh, yes.
And it would save me like $30-$40.
Yeah, why not?
Might do that. All right. Dead Island 2, all platforms, even Stadia, even though Stadia's canceled, so no one more. Dead Island 2, April 21st. I'm actually thinking this looks pretty good, but I got too much to play. I can't be messing around with Dead Island. After Image, all platforms, April 25th. Strayed Lights, all platforms, April 25th. And then Desta, The Memories Between, April 26th, Switch and PC. Now, Dead Island 2, maybe reviews are popping up? Do we know?
Have any popped? I haven't seen any yet.
No, not yet.
Okay.
We got 4 days to release. It may be one of those to where they wait till the last possible minute. Also, real quick, I don't know why I just thought about this, but I guess it's because the review talk itself. Resident Evil 4. They hold off on the microtransactions till after the reviews come out. And then here you go. Hey, maybe you want to buy this thing to kind of, so you don't have to replay on professional. You could just kind of immediately unlock some stuff.
Yeah, I find this weird, but it doesn't bother me nearly as much only because it's only affecting yourself in a single player game. I still think it's a weird move. However, I would be much more annoyed.
I agree completely. I think exactly the same thing. It's a single player game. Yeah. You buy it. If you want it, buy it. If you don't buy it. It's as simple as that.
Right.
It's not affecting other people. Do what you want. It's still just like it still takes some of the steam out of it. It still takes like,
it's still not a good look because you still are not, you're tempting people to play the game the wrong way. They're not really, I mean, part of the fun of Resident Evil 4 is like, you know, let me go after that treasure and kill, and also like let me kill these extra guys even though I can run past them because I want to get a treasure from them or do this or do that.
Now I'm gonna be tempted to like, well, I could just pay like $3 and not have to redo all this, but it's weird, but it's not a big deal. Well, I guess my biggest deal is the fact that they just, I don't know, slipped it in after the fact. Like, if you're gonna do it, at least do it at release. Now you just look shady.
Yeah, that much I agree with. Yeah, why not just throw it in there? You know?
Did the same what the Crash racing game totally did that. Right after reviews dropped, oh, now we'll put in the microtransactions, even though they said many times that they weren't going to do microtransactions.
Oh man, it's the old tale.
Did Capcom claim to not doing microtransactions? They may have not even brought it up. I don't know.
Honestly, I don't.
It'd be pretty bad if they were champion that, like, we're not going to do microtransactions, and then drop.
We're not like these other companies. Yeah. We don't do microtransactions. Yeah, I don't think they ever even acknowledged it. So.
Okay. All right. Well, if that's it for you, that's it for me.
Yeah, man.
Zelda,
gonna try to get some Chia in for back to work. I know. I cannot believe we're this close. Can't wait.
Get that $70 DLC.
There you go.
All right. Till next time. I'll see you guys.
Later, guys.